Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today, I have an upload that is just awesome. I went up to where Tom Messick disappeared yesterday. We got some footage of that, actually about 35 minutes of it. I'm going to share with you an experience out of Virginia/Kentucky, right on that border, baby. And a little bit more. We'll dive a little bit more into the connection, one government, one world government, alien agenda, and the paranormal, what we've been talking about as of late. I truly, truly believe just by skimming the surface, we will uncover more. And in this video, while up in Horicon, New York, I say this statement: once we start to just unravel the first layer, we will never be that same person before we started. And it is absolutely terrifying to think about. Before we get into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we?
All right, guys, May 14th, up in the Adirondacks. Beautiful day, beautiful day. 70 degrees, somewhere around there. Up where Tommy Messick disappeared once again. Trail's a little overgrown. Leaves are popping out everywhere. That's interesting. I don't know what that is. Looks like a rock got kicked over or something. But yeah, just a beautiful day. And we are going to proceed up the mountain. I'll turn the camera around. I got a very interesting experience I want to share with you guys today. Out of Wise County, Virginia / Harlan County, Kentucky. It's going to be really interesting. It is really interesting, actually, but sharing it with you guys is going to be interesting. Flip the camera around so you guys can check out the view. All right, so that is one side, and then on that side is where I had caught that very strange metallic sound. As you can see, we are going up the mountain. So, just a really beautiful day. Trail is really, I don't think the rangers have been up here to clean it up. Actually, no, they have, because there was a log right across here last time we were here. Was that a month ago? Yep, that's where they dragged it over there. So they had cut it right here, pulled it over there. So the rangers do patrol up here. They're just not here all the time. And once again, he disappeared on state land, New York state land, making it a 411. Little gnats are out like crazy. Whew. It's been a while since I hiked. So, where we are at right now is where I set that trail cam up. And the two boulders where whatever was when I was sitting here 2 years ago blasted through the woods at me. That way is where I set the trail cam up. All right. Just really beautiful. So we got some sort of wild bird, some sort of bird over there chirping. Had to tighten my belt. Drawers were falling down. But this is that area that I had been at last time. And I thought I kept seeing something up in that ridge up there. And a trail marker right there. But you can see this isn't a flat hike at all. Whoop. So in a little bit I'll share that experience. Wise County, Virginia, Harlan County, Kentucky, and but what have we been talking about lately on the channel with the deep underground military bases and the government experiments, Dracos, and everything else is very chilling. And you know what's scary is once you know, it's almost like you can't go back. You know? Once you have an idea of what is going on, you can't go back. Which is haunting. You'll never be the same person that you were. Whew. It is warm today. Glad I didn't wear a long sleeve. But like I said, those bands right there are markers. I believe where they had searched out the area for Tom Mezek, because there was 5 square miles marked. So this whole area had been walked at one time by rangers, volunteers, correctional officers, and such. Rock right here is where I was sitting. I had my camera set up right here, and I kept seeing movement off to the side over there. It is hotter than a nut sack on Saturday nights. For those of you on that live stream, you know what that means. But back to what I was saying. Once you even skim the surface of what's going on, a lot of wildlife. That's good. You will never be the same again. I want to flip the camera around. I'm turning back around. I heard some kind of weird noise up ahead that way. I kind of turned back around. I'm sitting on that squared rock. I went maybe 40 feet from here, and nothing since. So I just had to regain my composure. I guess we'll go in a minute. I just want to sit here for a second. I don't know if I caught it on the camera or not. I hope I did. I really do. So, I guess what we can do is talk about the experience out in Wise County, Virginia, which brings us to Harlan County, Kentucky. And I don't have my desk in front of me, so I printed as much of it out as I could. So Wise County, Virginia, and Harlan County, Kentucky are just like a border across from each other. And they really, I mean, the geography is practically the same. The gentleman that I spoke with the other day had said, you know, he lives in Wise County. His home is in Wise County. See, there's the rock that I was just sitting on, that squared rock there. I don't know if you can see it. But whatever was up there freaked me out. We're going back though. So he lives in Wise County, Virginia, and they had just been bored. He is into the conspiracy of everything. I mean, there's no right word for it, I guess. So I guess you would call it conspiracy. But there in Harlan County is a kind of weather satellite, FAA weather satellite on radar station road. And him and his buddy had gone up there just to fart around. It looks like a huge golf ball. The locals call it a golf ball. This is right where I was when I heard that noise. And they had gone kind of like what I'm doing right now, just vegging out, beautiful day. Well, when they had got there, they had a really eerie feeling. They're in the woods, and they start to feel like something is following them. Now, they don't really see anything as of yet. They don't see anything. So they just have this very uncomfortable feeling, kind of like what I have right now. But they push forth. You know, they're gonna go to this little spot where they go and hang out and smoke weed. And they get to their location and start hanging out, sitting around, and they notice, you know, everything. They feel a little better at first. They're like, everything's good, everything is calm and tranquil. So they immediately get to a location and start smoking, just chilling out, enjoying their day. And as they're smoking, they start to get a paranoid feeling. And they immediately think that it is the marijuana. You know, just sketched out. So they kind of sit there, stop smoking, and just really start to listen to the area. It's really fucking creepy up here today. I don't know why, and there's a lot of wildlife out. So as they are listening to the area, getting kind of a feel of the area, kind of in tune with what's going on, they start to hear some walking, or what they assume is walking, and coming from the woods. There is no trails, there's no trail systems off to where they're sitting. There are trails in the area, but where they are sitting, there isn't any. And so they just really start to get now paranoid, super paranoid. Like, what the hell is going on? And all of a sudden, they realize that the whole area has gone completely silent. I'm gonna try to get up here and show you a better vantage point. And so the area has gone silent. Now we are atop of the mountain, totally. You can hear how close that plane is. And they are now immediately freaked out. They're like, you know, maybe we should just get out of here and head back home. It's just silence. We both know what silence means being from this area. So let's head out. As they are starting to make their way out of the area, they see what they can only picture as a German Shepherd, or a kind of brindled colored wolf. And immediately they stop. The one guy who contacted me, he has a fear of dogs in general. It smells like dog shit up here. Like dog shit. And they're looking at this, what they think is a dog, and not knowing what it is. So immediately they decide, hey, it's time to head out. Let's go. This is getting really scary. And they do. But they realize that where this dog is they are not going to have to pass it fully. They're going to have to walk kind of like at a diagonal to it. That's what they start doing. Their vehicle is like over here. The dog is here, kind of in front of them. They got to go this way. So they start, and they notice that as they are moving, so is this dog's head. It is following them, watching them. Its ears is perked. It is waiting almost. What happens next sends them in a dead run for their vehicle, not knowing how they got to their car, because this thing was massive. It stood up as they are, you know, some feet away from it, and just starts chasing after them. Immediately they run for their home, or for their car. They do get to their car, and as they get in the car, they start their vehicle, and the Dogman stops at the edge of the woods, staring at them. Now, they're pulling out of this area, Radar Station Road, and as they are coming to the main part of the road, they're not on the main part yet. They're still in the deep section here. They see another two of these German Shepherd-like creatures, but these are not bipedal. These are standing quadruped in the woods on the side of them, and they get out of there very quickly. Some time goes by, a couple days, whatnot, and they decide, hey, let's, you know, figure out what happened up there. Let's go back up there. The one friend that didn't contact me was the one reaching out and saying, hey, you know, like, the guy who contacted me said, yeah, let's take a drive up and see, you know, maybe it was the weed. Maybe, even though both of them have smoked for years and never had any kind of problem like that, any kind of hallucination like that, they start to drive up. They drive up, cross over into Kentucky, go up into the road. Just as they're starting to go to the location where they were, they immediately, because they're looking around, see 3 canine heads popped out of the woods staring at them. They don't see the bodies, they don't see anything except the heads staring out from the wood line. Different heights, so it does appear that 1 or 2 are bipedal and the other are quadruped. They immediately turn right around. They're gone. Gone. Go back to his house. He drops his buddy off. They decide, hey, you know, something's up there. Something's going on up there. Maybe we're not wanted up there. You know, we've been up there before. We've never seen anything like this. And so they decide, you know, hey, let's not ever go back up there for a while. And, you know, we'll call it a day. So they do. That night, the gentleman who called me, or who contacted me, had just gotten ready for bed. And he has a small little house. And he's got 2 bedrooms upstairs. That's his upstairs, is just 2 bedrooms. A living room, kitchen, bathroom, downstairs, and a basement, like a sub-basement or whatever the hell. So it's a very small house, but it's his house. He's in his room. Across the hall is his computer room. And he turns the light off to get ready for bed. All of a sudden, he starts hearing walking on his roof. Like, he can hear clicking of what he can only put together as hooves, or not hooves, claws. Like click, 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 like a dog would on linoleum. That's his exact words. Like a dog would sound on linoleum. Whoa. And he's laying there, like maybe the wind blew some branches on my roof, and you know, that's what I'm hearing. He hears this walking, and it gets to be right above him. At this point, he's lying in his bed, his lights are off, and he starts to hear whatever is on top of his roof pulling up the shingles that are on his roof, just ripping his roof up. And he can hear the shingle that this thing is pulling up sliding off his roof. He's lying there for some time listening to it, scared. Obviously he's scared. And he calls 911 and says, you know, someone or something is trying to break into my house. The police officer or the responder says, you know, okay, don't go outside. Where are you? Stay on the phone. And about 15 minutes later, 2 police cruisers show up. He hears the noise. What the hell is that? He hears the noise. Hang on a second. I'm going to turn the camera ever so slightly. But anyway, he hears the noise, and he hears the noise of these police cruisers coming in, and he hears what he can only say is something running off his roof. He immediately runs downstairs, meets up with the police officers, tells them, you know, hey, it sounded like someone was trying to break into my house. He doesn't say anything about the roof because he's freaked out, and he doesn't think that the police officers will believe him. Immediately they look around and they don't see anything. He's outside with them. He knows kind of what he's looking for because he's, you know, obviously seen these three things with his buddy, but he doesn't think it was three. He thinks it was just a one. He's, you know, the police officers say, you know, don't come with us, stay right where you are, just sit here on your patio little thing. And he does. As he's sitting there, he looks out towards his tree line and he sees these glowing orange eyes staring at him from the tree line. And he sees it turn its head and walk back into the woods deeper. Police officers are like, we can't find anything. Have a good night. He says, all right, I'm gonna lock up. Do you mind waiting while I lock up? And you know, I'll follow you. I'm going to my parents' house. All right, yeah, it sounds like a plan. So he does. And he ends up going to his parents' house. He calls his buddy on his way to his parents' house and tells him what happened. And gets to his parents' house, goes into his old bedroom, goes to sleep. Next day, wakes up, tells his dad what happened. Tells his dad the whole story that I just shared with you. And his dad's looking at him like, what the hell you mean? And he immediately says, what, you think you mess with a haint? And he used that. He sounds like he's from Virginia, but I guess his dad's got like this real deep Virginia accent, so that's why he said it like that. And he's like, you know, I don't know, Dad. His dad kind of blew it off. But he goes home to his house and starts looking around. And he cannot see any kind of prints around his house. Ow, these black flies are out bad today. But he looks up at his roof. And his roof is ripped. He can see the shingles just ripped apart. He's like, holy hell. Calls his dad. His dad comes over and goes up there with a ladder. Looks, sure as shit, there's what looks to be something that ripped his roof apart. They call a roofer, have a roofer come, put a aluminum roof on his house. And the guy's like, what the hell got up on your roof? And he says, I have no idea. One of the gentlemen that was working for the contractor said, you got issues with catamount. Catamount, if you guys know, can be classified either as a Bigfoot, Dogman, or a panther. They finish his roof. He has no issues for quite some time. And some time goes by, about a month. He wakes up one morning to get ready for work, and there's a dead deer what the hell was that? Lying across his lying across his car. What is that out there? I don't know if my mic picked that up, but something's up there in the trees. Dead quiet now. Fuck. Something's out there. I just heard it. I know. I really hope my mic heard it. Picked it up. I feel like... I don't know. I don't know if I should walk more that way or not. So the deer is on his car. Pulls it off and he decides to go to work. Tells his dad about it and decides, you know, I'm not going to make anything about it. They put it in the woods. And since that time, he's had no issues. I think it's time I get the hell out of here. I'll finish this at home.
All right, guys. So at the 33-minute mark, at the end of the video almost, I stop and I look over into the woods and I say, what was that? Seriously. Rewind, or whatever we call it, to that spot after you're done with the upload. Put some headphones in and listen to it, because there is something on that ridge just above me. I have no idea what it was. It was not a bird. It was far too large to be a bird. Far too much clutter. Almost like something, and I felt like I was being watched. I didn't have like that feeling of danger. I just felt like something was watching me the whole time I was there today. That's why I was off. I was just off up there. And I'm a little upset at myself for being off, because one, it was probably the best day we've had in like 3 weeks. And two, I wanted to make an awesome upload for you guys. And I felt so off that I just couldn't. I mean, there's one point I'm walking up, and after I pass that squared rock, and something is in front of me. I don't see it, but I hear it. And then as I'm going down the mountain, I look to where I had put my trail cam at one point, and I swear on everything I hold dear, I thought I saw a set of legs. I might not have. It might have been, misidentification, pareidolia, whatever you want to call it. But I had that feeling that something was observing me today. Just watching. I didn't have that feeling like it was going to jump out and attack me. I've had that feeling up there. And I'm sure many of you people know what I'm talking about when you're out in the woods, possibly by yourself or with a friend, and you just get that off feeling. And you're like, oh, do I want to go any further? So at that mark, listen to it, re-listen to it, and you can hear it. It's just, and it's far off. Not really that far, but just a lot of weird stuff happens in that place. There's just a lot of really strange activity, all in all. So being that I was off, I wanted to kind of clarify a couple things on the gentleman's experience out of Wise County, Virginia. So he and his buddy drive over into Harlan County, which is just across the border from Wise. And they go up to where Black Mountain / Radar Station Road, and Black Mountain Road. They kind of fork out. The golf ball satellite, the FAA satellite, is right there. And they go off to, they're on Radar Station Road. The golf ball is like over here. So Radar Station Road, Black Mountain Road, golf ball. And the area where there was at one point a station, a radar station, or some kind of station right there. There's this little pull-off that they go to, and they that's where they smoke their weed. They just wanted to go outside. It was a nice day. Winter had, broke. People want to go outside after a long winter. And so they're there, and they get that eerie feeling. They see this Dogman. They get chased out of the area. They decide a day later to go back. As they're going back up there, they see the heads of 3 dogmen staring at them, bipedal and quadruped. Sometime later, possibly one of these things got his scent and followed him or tracked him and tried to go through his roof to get to him. Not uncommon in that area of the state or states, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, that kind of part of the South, the southern region of our states, of this beautiful country that we live in. They talk a lot about catamounts, and I've heard it multiple times. It gets on their roofs, and it does try. Sometimes it tries to go through the roof. Other times it just messes with them. And this one was trying to get into his roof. He doesn't have pictures of that. He didn't think about taking pictures. He just wanted to kind of move on and get everything, and he's never had any kind of interaction again with one of these things, which is amazing, being what happened to him. Now, when we were talking, he had thought about what I had talked about a couple weeks ago or a month ago. When I do believe that the government are using dogmen. They are using them as weapons of intimidation, weapons of war, guard dogmen, lack of a better term. And he said, Jeff, what if that FAA golf ball is part of the HARP project? And those dogmen were there to guard that area, protect that area. Very, very interesting theory. Very interesting idea. You can't knock it. I mean, yeah, there's probably someone out there that's going to be like, oh, that's bull crap, blah, blah, blah. But all in all, knowing what we know, it doesn't seem absurd, especially when people have talked about this area and this particular radar or golf ball, enormous white golf ball looking thing, being part of HARP. It would make sense. And you know what makes even more sense is where this is in relation to Tazewell, Buchanan. That year that the government had gone into Tazewell, and half of the county was flooded with rain, just torrential downpours. The other half of the county was sunny and dry. Ironically enough, they had found a Dogman pup and female dead. Crawlers were going on in that area in these cave systems along out on the outskirts of Tazewell. The government used the rail system to get everything out very quickly and very quietly. But half the county was under torrential rain during this one period of time, and the other half wasn't. I mean, there was a mass amount of damage done. DJ lives in Tazewell, and I called him when I heard about it because it was in the news. It was so bad. And I said, DJ, are you okay? And he said, yeah, I'm good, brother. Yeah, buddy, it's on the other side of town, and it's bad over there. I got a buddy that lives over there, and it's real bad. HARP, weather controlled. Let's kind of make a distraction so we can get this shit done quick and get out. I don't know. But I think he was onto something when he thought that. I really do. So let's jump into a little bit more of the government controlling the paranormal or using the paranormal to their advantage. Case file 29 from Reverend Billy D. and Alan DeWalton. This is an email. Billy, could you resend me your description of the reptilian interrogation that your confidential friend in the intelligence agency was involved in? Peace in Christ. Alan. Back in 1994 or 95, a man I had met on the internet was in the military black projects or operations. He was an officer in the military and served a number of years. I was able to have several personal phone call discussions with him, as well as my contacts knew of the person and told me he's very credible and his claims are acceptable. This officer had worked at Area 51. I think he had worked in other military bases, but I don't recall the names of them at this time. But in 51, he had worked with several types of alien beings, some of which were the alien greys, the tall and humanoid-appearing beings, and some other types, which again I don't recall. I would like to add that he knew Bob Lazar, and that he was there when Bob was working at Dreamland. This officer tried to help Bob out with the trouble he was in. But, to make a long story short, most of us realize Lazar was fired from his position in Area 51. Anyway, this officer had explained to me in detail that he had the opportunity to interrogate a few reptilian alien beings. The interrogation was not just words and mere questioning. Although that did go on, there was physical force used on the alien to attempt to get answers to questions. After the interrogation was completed, the officer quickly shot the alien in the head and thus killed him almost immediately. I had stated that was very violent and asked if it was necessary to execute the alien in the first place. This man laughed while explaining to me of his delight in executing this alien reptoid. He then further explained that the reptilians hate humankind with a passion. They only want to see humankind dead. The hatred of these beings have towards humans is incredible, and they will do anything to destroy humanity. The reptilian did state under questioning that the Greys were their slaves. The Greys are the ones that carry out the abductions, implants, and other tasks the reptilian masters order them to do. I was told that the reptilians rarely come out and are seen. They make their gray slaves do all of the work and all the visitations. But once in a while, a reptilian will do some work that needs to be done with humans. The reptilians are human-shaped in form, but beyond that, they have leathery type skin, which appears as either snake-like or scale-like. Getting back to the interrogation and execution of the reptilian by this officer, I forgot to mention, there were only other military present in the interrogation. The reptilian are dangerous. Held in captivity, they will take every possible advantage to kill a human. This is the reason he was not kept and confined. It kind of seemed sadistic when this officer explained it to me, of the executing the reptilian, with a chuckle. I could not understand why it was so funny, but, as I said, the reptilian is considered an extremely hateful and murderous creature of humankind and will stop at nothing. I guess that is the reason the officer laughed at his description of how he executed the alien being. He was glad to have killed him, and thus put away another reptilian that would, if given a chance, harm humanity. From what this officer told me, and I am convinced without a doubt that the reptilian beings may be the most dangerous and homicidal alien beings that there are on this world at present time. God bless. BD. Next email. Hey, Billy, thank you very much for sharing that info. I seem to recall that you may have mentioned that the interrogator learned that the reptilian are residents underneath the surface of the earth, and they intend to invade our surface world sometime in the future, and that one of the reasons your contact killed the reptilian was because it bragged about what they would do to us and our children when the invasion came. Did I misread your earlier version of the interrogation? If so, I must have heard the surface invasion thing from somewhere else. Next email. Alan, he felt a lot heavier than he looked. Oops, excuse me. That was part of case 28. Yes, I did mention in my other recall of the reptoids about them living underground in their desire to kill humankind. Go ahead and use the information I gave you. It's fine with me. God bless you. Brother Billy D. So I've got a little bit more information on another case file. It's a little bigger than most. We can get into it a little bit if you want. I don't want to go too deep into it, but case file number 30. The following are excerpts from the Dulce book, chapter 30, Revelations from the Leading Edge, which include the research and writings of John Grace, aka Val Valerian, in regards to reptilian life forms. Researchers will recall that the disk that crashed in 47 at Roswell had several reptilian species on board, as well as body parts and clothing of several Army/Air Force officers. So they were hunting humanity during that time. And we have all heard, if you go deep into this, we know that the reptilians are the ones that control the Greys. And we do know that they do not like humanity. Tom Castiello, Bill Cooper, Phil Schneider, they've all talked about this. So it's not surprising that they would interrogate to find out. And when I say the government is involved, people might say, well, he was intelligence. If the government's involved, why are they doing that then? Well, it's not the whole kind of government. It's not the whole, it's fractions. There are fractions of the government and the military that are good, like Phil Schneider, Bill Cooper, that want to protect humanity. There's fractions that aren't in the know, that are just doing what they are told. and then fractions of that are in the know and only want what the alien agenda, the alien reptilian, whatever you want to call them, the Draco, can give us or can give them. Can they give us everlasting life? Can they give us, money beyond our, anything we can fathom? Can we get it? Yes, we can. Let us take more of your children, women and men. All right. So anyway, primary physical characteristics of the gray. The larger grays apparently have some vestigial reproductive capability and some kind of hybrid species that have been crossbred with the taller reptilian species have full reproductive capability. The brain capacity is estimated between 2,500 and 3,500 cc compared to 1,300 cc of the average human. Due to the cloning process, the neutral matter is artificially grown brain matter, and the grays have known technology that enables them to insert memory patterns and consciousness into clones in any manner or pattern that they wish. The grays consume nourishment through the process of absorption through their skin. This process, according to the abductees who have witnessed it, involves spreading a biological slurry mixture that has been mixed with a hydrogen peroxide, which oxygenates the slurry and eliminates bacteria onto their skin. Waste products are then excreted back through the skin. Many abductees have noted that the grays have a distinct series of odors. Larger grays have more pronounced nose. According to some government sources, these extraterrestrial biological entities called themselves EBAN. It is with the larger grays the elements of the government made series of diplomatic agreements with in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. The grays are involved in stockpiling of humans, including children, for use of food source for the reptilian species and as a lesser food source for themselves. Psychological characteristics of some gray reptilian species, autopsied by the United States government. Alien life form, or ALF, term used by the government to describe the grays in terms of being a malevolent life form. The deal with the grays is that their field around their body is different to ours, to a point where merging of the fields ends up creating physical symptoms, body terror mentioned by people like Whitney Strieber. The field around them is in direct opposition of ours. It is an anti-life field, as these specific species are on a devolutionary spiral. Devolutionary, not revolutionary, devolutionary. They are akin to soldiers of fortune and offer their advanced technology in trade for things they require. They are experts at manipulation of both human body through manipulation of the fields and the human mind. They require blood and other biological fluids to survive. They abduct humans and animals in order to acquire these fluids. They implant small devices near the brain which potentially gives them total control and a monitoring capability. These devices are very difficult to detect. The analysis of these devices by technical staff has produced a description that involves use of a crystalline technology combined with a molecular circuitry, and these ride on a resonant emissions of the brain and the various fields of the human. Information is entrained on brainwaves. It appears that all attempts to remove the implants have resulted in the death of a human. And 1972 is in quotations. Various descriptions of the ALF relate the following characteristics: between 3 to 3.5 feet in height, erect, standing bipedal, small, thin build, large head, larger than a human's. Abscess of auditory lobes, external abscess of body hair, large tear-shaped eyes slanted approximately 35 degrees, which are opaque black with vertical slit pupils, arms resembling praying mantis, normal attitude, which reach to their knees, long hands, small palm, claw-like fingers, various number of digits, often 2 short digits, 2 long, but some species have 3 or 4 fingers. Tough gray skin, which is reptilian in texture, small feet with 4 small claw-like toes, organs that are similar to human organs but have obviously developed according to the different process of a non-functional digestive system, 2 separate brains, movement is deliberate, slow, and precise. Alien substance requires that they must have human blood and other biological substances to survive. In extreme circumstances, they can subsist on other cattle or animal fluids. Food is converted to energy by chlorophyll by a photosynthesis process. This supports results gained from autopsies at 29 Palms underground base, where it was seen that their blood is greenish and tissue is black. Waste products are secreted through the skin. The 2 separate brains are separated by a mid-cranial lateral bone, interior and posterior brain. There is no apparent connection between the 2. Some autopsies have revealed a crystalline network, which is thought to have a function in telepathic functions, which help to maintain the group consciousness between the members of same species. Functions of group consciousness in this species does have a disadvantage in that decision in this species come rather slowly as a matter at hand filters through the group awareness to those who must make a decision. The Greys and Reptilians from an anonymous abductee. This initial report is concerned with the 2 groups of aliens, Greys and Reptilians. They are several different kinds, both of Grey and Reptilians, but for now, we will simply refer to them as single groups. Both groups live on this planet or beneath its surface and in space. They've been here for a very long time. The Greys are also working for the Reptilians relative to the abductee as an individual and to the human race as a whole. They have been used by the Reptilians as a middleman, doing the work and exposing themselves to us on behalf of and instead of the Reptilians. Although Reptilian-based Insurian Greys are less visible, so which is why they have been chosen to interface with abductees. The Greys are consistently referred to as a mercenary force. So that explains a lot if you think about it. That explains why, people are like, well, the Dracos, if the Dracos are in charge, why are these why are these Greys doing all the work? Why are these, well, it's because they are a middleman. They are like a soldier of fortune, a mercenary. So just in the last 2 pages, it's been stated twice or 3 times actually that the Greys are a mercenary-like species that works for the highest bidder, almost like a bounty hunter. But they have that they have that tie to the Reptilians, where they are servants of them almost. Some reptilians eat humans like we eat chicken. In the United States, there are rumors of great underground food storage rooms full of preserved human bodies. Sometimes the rumor has it that the bodies are those of children. I asked the Greys why, if this is true, would it be children? I was told that it is not only children, but also adults that the reptilians eat. Children are preferred because they are generally unpoisoned by substances such as caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, and other things adults are saturated with as a group. Reptilians seem to have little regard for us as living beings. They think that we are as ugly and repulsive to them as we ever portrayed them to be, and that we, the human race, are as valuable as a weed. However, they do seem to consider some of us valuable property. One gets the feeling that they will continue to use us as they see fit. If we become a real problem as a group, they will sooner wipe us out than deal with it. They do not fear us, considering themselves far superior to us by all comparisons. They supposedly consider the surface of this planet to be a poisonous, inhospitable environment and allow us to live here, such as livestock, since they live below the surface and in space. Socially and culturally, greys and humans are very different. They fear us because they know we are potentially powerful beings. However, they insist that they own us. They say they created us, lie, and therefore they have the right to do what they will with us. Beyond this original right to interfere with us, they say they have additionally earned the right through their control because they can control us on an individual and cultural basis, both physically and mentally. They say they own us, in quotes. These attitudes are propaganda. Their control over us in any capacity is ultimately very frail due to its very nature. Their control is based on intimidation and advanced technology. As we become more aware, we are harder to control, harder to lie to, harder to confuse. Our technology would definitely be comparative to theirs if we had access to it. Much of their technology we would need to effectively overcome this situation exists now. It just isn't made available to the public for economic reasons, as well as national security. The preceding statements about the Greys are based on conversations with them and long observations of them. Impressions about the reptilians are more general. I have not engaged in conversations with the taller reptilians, although they have sometimes spoken to me. Most of my experiences with these does not include direct communication between me and them. Also, all of my consciously recalled memories of reptilians as well as Greys, who usually do communicating between us. Often the reptilians seem to be present during abductions as observers only, standing off to the side of the action and just watching. People have said that. They've said that. They see these Greys, in these kind of like human bodies are kind of floating above a table, and they can barely move, but they can look around, and they see a tall Draco over in the corner, just observing. The pasteurizing and use of surface Earth humans. Wow. This is by Jason Bishop. Holy crap. Most UFO buffs think that their efforts will lead to some sensible attention by the authorities to the broad problem that UFOs present. The problem of, are they invaders? What do they want here on Earth? And all those other nagging questions. They come to Earth for things surface people don't even know about. Earth is on an ancient space trade route. They come to bases, cavern city complexes, and they mine, manufacture, and do some genetic manipulations to form various subservient crossbreeds. The reptilians, for the most part, we are dealing with another species that is humanoid in shape, but the reptilian in heritage. Their leader elite are the Draco. They even have special wings which are flaps of skin supported by long ribs. These can be folded back against the body. They are also known as the dragon race, and their symbol usually includes a winged serpent. There are elements of their species which do not have wings, the soldier class of the species and scientists. They are cold-blooded and have a balanced environment to maintain body temp. The soldier class of the species can bury themselves in the ground and wait long periods of time in order to ambush their enemy. If need be, they can survive on one very large meal every few weeks or even once a year while hibernating or in suspended animation. As a species, they are well suited for space travel due to their ability to hibernate. These reptoid have scales which protect them from moisture loss. They have also no sweat glands. So, like, humans would do better if we hibernated. Like, if we didn't age, let's go to Saturn. All right. Put them in kind of this cryogenic chamber or whatever. They fall asleep, and 70 freaking years later, they wake up and they're on the orbit of Saturn. And time was like that. Their relatives here on Earth are long gone or old, and anyway. The scales are much larger on their backs, making the skin waterproof. The scales elsewhere on their body are more flexible. They have 3 fingers with an opposing thumb. The eyes are cat-like and large. They have twin nostrils at the end of their short, stubby nose. They are most likely meat eaters. The mouth is more like a slit, but they have teeth which are differentiated into incisors, canines, and molars. They average somewhere between 6 to 7 feet in height. The reptilian/amphibian humanoids have been interacting with Earth for ages. Many contactees and abductees repeatedly describe an insignia of a flying serpent on a shoulder patch, badge, medallion, or helmet. The serpent race lives underground. The Greys, the reptilian species, directs the effort of the worker class, which are about 4 feet tall. These are currently referred to as the Greys, or EBE, and are the largest category likely to be encountered by the surface humans. These beings, the Greys, operate very efficiently in the dark. Their eyes are more sensitive to ultraviolet light. They have the ability to control their heart rate. The normal heart rate for a Grey would be above a human's. The skin seems to have a metallic content and an unusual cobalt pigmentation. Many have no external sex organs. Some have been bred to have them. One variety of reptilian crossbreed is particularly negative and dangerous. This variety, who work with the Draco, do not eat in the same way humans do. These hive-like creatures use synthetically produced substances mixed with blood. Thus, slurry is sometimes mixed with hydrogen peroxide, which kills foreign bacteria and viruses. They may also be feeding off of the life essence and energy of their substances. They also have been fed off of nuclear energy and have manipulated humans into developing sources of nuclear power that emit radiation. Nuclear methods involved use of neutrons that create radiation. Method that uses positrons emit no radiation. The Greys, the short, big head, are mercenaries. They interface with humans in secret societies and within the military/government complex. An interconnected web manipulates the surface Earth create cultures. Command, progression. Draco, winged reptilian, Draco, non-winged, white, brown, green-skinned, etc., Greys, human collaborators. Additional information about the Greys and the reptilian species and their general activities with human beings on Earth. In general, there are 3 kinds of Grey. The reticulans, who are 4.5 feet tall. Those from Bellatrix in the Orion system are 3.5 feet tall. Other species of Orion Regillian Greys that range in height to 6 to 9 feet. The planetoid that is entering our solar system at the time, it will be here in the coming years, has been written up several newspapers, and it has determined that being intelligently guided and that it emanates a large variety of frequencies within the electromagnetic spectrum. This is where it gets interesting right here. Although analysis of many cases, it would appear that the tall Greys have one base near the Altulian Islands, Altination, Aleutian Islands. Sorry. The taller Greys seem to have overall influence over the Reticulians and also over the Bellatrix in Orion, where the reptilian insectoid genetic hybrid mercenaries reside, according to some sources. Species. The influence over humans seems to center around implantation of human political figures and those in control of planetary power groups. You will recall that mutilations generally result in all of the blood being withdrawn from the body. This has been the case whether the subject is animal or human. The blood and other fluids are generally transferred to holding containers or vats, along with other body parts. There are many, many reports of humans in various situations and scenarios have come into contact with aliens, or have been in caves or caverns with aliens, and have seen canisters or vats in which animal or human parts are floating, and in which a purplish red fluid is present as a substance in which to suspend all of organic materials. There is one case where a woman and her 2 children were abducted by the entities from Bellatrix, the entities referred to as SM, Snake Men. In this case, by M.K. Jessup, the anointed by Carlos Allende and friends, and she would not cooperate with them when they had her on board the ship. The reply to the lack of cooperation was direct. They killed both of her children. She managed to run down a hallway and went into a room where she saw a vat full of red liquid and body parts of humans and animals. She saw another vat of the same type in which the liquid was being agitated, and as she looked into the vat, she could see Greys bobbing up and down, almost swimming, absorbing the nutrients through their skin. There is also use of H2O2, water molecules with an extra oxygen atom added, in the vats in order to aid in preserving the fluid from rapid degradation. These entities have been abducting humans for centuries. These entities view Earth as a big farm, and they have been essentially raising and harvesting humans and apparently abduct humans to take them back to their home planet to raise them in a kind of human husbandry or livestock scenario. There are indications that a ritual of the Eucharist is a reflection of earlier rituals where aliens were eating off the bodies of humans or feeding off energies. The phrase food of the gods takes on a new meaning when these factors are understood. The true nectar of the gods, which the aliens involved to seem prize most substance, is taken from a freshly killed human. This substance is generated at the moment of death by a strong surge of adrenaline. This surge of adrenaline through the body accumulates at the base of the brain. And some aliens thrive on this substance as though it were some kind of ultimate drug for their particular species. This species is most potent in human children. In the Draco system, there are other types of entities which have visited Earth in the past. These entities have been described by John Keel in his book Mothman Prophecies, released in the 70s. The Draco are about 8 feet tall, have winged appendages coming off their shoulders, dark scaly skin, and glowing red eyes. They have the ability to fly and usually operate at night. These entities, as well as the elite of the other reptilian species that also have winged appendages, were the source of some legends in the past relating to gargoyles, Valkyries. It is also apparent that some of the qualities ascribed to vampires have been taken from these creatures. Interjection. These elite reptilians have gone by many names: gargoyles, mothmen, birdmen, wind draco, winged serpents, and Syakars. One such creature that had literally tortured one female abductee who was taken to the multi-level underground system below Camp Hero at Montauk Point in Long Island was described as follows. What I see is a creature 6 to 7 feet tall. His ears are large and pointed at the top. His eyes are a bright yellowish gold and seem to glow. He has pointed teeth and a very large wrinkle on his forehead. He has a tail. He is coming towards me. I have never been so scared in my life. He comes to the foot of my table. He pulls off my shorts and bathing suit and does some bad stuff. His face is close to mine. I want to scream, but it's only in my head. I hear a raspy sound coming from him. He does some very bad stuff to this person, which I'm not going to say. More details on the Montauk reptilian frame: very tall, closer to 7 feet than 6 feet, well proportioned, except shoulders are very broad in comparison to the waist, while musculature, torso, and legs. I see some kind of appendage that reminds me of wings protruding from behind the shoulders. There is what seems to be a tail extending from his back. The diameter of the tail would approximately be 3 inches to 5 inches. I didn't see his feet and cannot recall his junk. Not in that order, though. I have a feeling that my mind is not allowing me to see this because of the trauma associated with it. Skin and textures. The color of the skin is gray, green, dark, somewhat oily, but with the feeling of scales. The odor he emits is putrid. He's not wearing clothing, but there is something on his chest that reminds me of armor. But it seems to be a natural protection and not a material addition. Face and head. The size of his head is proportionate to his body. There is no hair. There's a large ridge or flap of skin on his forehead just above his eyes, extending across the brow. The eyes are a yellowish golden glow, slightly almond-shaped with pupils vertically slits. The nose and mouth protrude slightly, giving him an appearance of a snout-like. The teeth are pointed. The ears are oversized in proportion to his head, and the tips extend above his head and come to a point. Wow. Wow. I just want to say something. I wasn't going to go that deep on that one. I wasn't going to share all of case 30. But last live stream we had, someone asked about flying Dogman, because I have read 1, maybe 2 experiences where someone claims to have seen a Dogman that flew, right? Oh my So if you think about what that description is, snout-like, winged, 7, 8 feet tall, glowing eyes, a tail. If it was dark and you saw that thing running and you got a side view, a silhouette shot, and then it flew, it would resemble a canine. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying the resemblance. So maybe that's what people think. Maybe when people say, oh, I thought I saw a flying Dogman or something similar to that, maybe that's what they saw, right? But then something popped into my head here when I went, oh my God. What if obviously we know the Leeds family is real in New Jersey in the Pine Barrens, but what if one of these Dracos had its way with Mother Leeds and birth happened and the resemblance of, you see where I'm going, right? What if that offspring, wow, is genetic, that, you guys know what I'm saying. It's just, wow. I get spun sometimes going down these rabbit holes. So just like in, well, it does make sense. It could be the Jersey Devil, right? But just like in the scientific information that I share sometimes with you guys, Them and Us, how by Nick Van Drimeny, how human predation, or how Neanderthal predation created modern human. And some people didn't realize what that word predation meant. When they heard the title, they were like, Neanderthals didn't create humans. No, obviously. But there's a sentence in that book, and it states, we have been fighting these creatures since time immemorial. And every culture has their description of one of these creatures or all of these creatures. It's all connected, my friends. And with that, I hope you enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. It's a little longer than normal. Guys, I want to thank you for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that helps the channel to continue to grow and go. And honestly, what makes it a place where people can share their experiences, ideas, and theories, judgment, and ridicule-free. Simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Thank you. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real, they are out there, and they're definitely dangerous. Share this information with the people you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for answers, and God bless.